Hey everyone, welcome to Unpacked and Unfiltered Tuesdays with Becky and Doris. I'm Doris.
And I'm Becky.
And yay, we're literally just two friends who talk way too much and figure out why not record it.
We talk about the real life messy challenges in business and family, sharing the mindset shifts and streamlined business systems that actually keep us sane. So basically, if you want real conversations about the messy middle of life, work, family, finding yourself when you've lost the plot, you're in the right place.
Exactly. So Becky, we're going to find out a little bit more about all the amazing things that you do. So give me a little bit about history about yourself and how you got into what you do now and why.
Gosh, it's a long history, isn't it? So is it a life story?
No, not all the juicy bits though.
All the juicy bits. Oh
yeah,
my
just the juicy bits.
I don't think there is any juicy bits, really.
No.
So I started my kind of self-employed journey about 8 years ago. And I mean, I always think I don't really have a story. I don't really have a story to tell, but I think sometimes I do. It's just not as dramatic as maybe some other stories. But I literally, I was working in a primary trust, looking after three schools. And I'd been there for 7 months and I had a complete and utter breakdown. I'd missed my son's second birthday. So my eldest second birthday. Yeah. And I was doing the work of basically 4 people. And it had become a lot, shall we say. And my self-esteem had hit such a rock bottom that I couldn't even think about applying for another job and putting myself out there to work for somebody else. I was so down on myself and had no confidence in what I could do and what I had done, that I just handed in my notice in and had nowhere to go, which was a massive thing because I've always handed in my notice and had somewhere to go. And much like we have been talking prior to this, it was very much a case of, I know I am good at what not too headed. I can do the things. I can do these things. I'd spent 7 years working at a county council as a project support officer, which is where I'd learned everything. I'd worked with an amazing team. And then I'd gone across and I just completely had that breakdown. So yeah, I kind of left in the October, and then by the January, some crazy person had the idea to look at setting up as a virtual assistant. I don't know who that was, because actually, if I think about it logically, Doris, I don't know how I kind of came to that conclusion when I myself couldn't even face applying for a job to work for somebody else. So for me to have kind of gone in that whole, let's go be self-employed. I had no, like, I did it, obviously. I'm still here today. But yeah, it was a weird one. But I did have support. So I had support from a friend who I did some voluntary work for, and she was always really good with me, and she was always, yeah, you can do this, like, come on with this, go with it. So she helped me to kind of build up that confidence whilst I was looking at starting the business. And then obviously, as you do, you fall pregnant just before you actually like officially start your business. Going to launch in May, and I actually found out I was pregnant with my youngest. Had him in the December, and then kind of officially started plugging myself out there by the end of the January. Yeah. And ever since then, I mean, I've never looked back in terms of starting this and continuing this. It's just been it's been a massive growth thing. There have been stumbling blocks along the way. There have been kind of like, what am I doing? And those whole thing, you know, when you're in business and you have to wear so many hats, don't you? You have to wear so many hats, and you have to do everything. And sometimes to switch that off is really kind of difficult. So there have always been those times where I'm like, no, sod this, I'm gonna go get a job so I can just leave it there and come home and just be mom and housewife here and then go to work. But I think I'm kidding myself if I can go back to
well, I say the same thing. I don't think I'm employable anymore.
No, I don't think I'm employable anymore. But hi ho, I'm here. But that's a really long story to get to the fact that about 2 years ago, I realised that actually 90% of what I was doing was doing the back office systems behind all of my clients' offers and their programs and everything else. And I was like, actually, this is where I really enjoy. So I'd started quite generalist in terms of being a VA, and I think quite a lot of us do, unless we've already specialised in things. So it wasn't until 2 years ago that I kind of went into kind of more tech VA stuff. And it is where my jam is, really. I love it. I am that problem solver. I love kind of working out, right, okay, you've got this idea and it needs to look like this. How do we get there? How do we fit these things together so that you have something that is deliverable to your clients? And of course, I've had to learn this as I've been going as well, because I am a business owner exactly like the clients that I serve, and I've had to learn, okay, how the heck do I send contracts out to be signed? Because I'm virtual, I'm not in front of these people. What's the best system? What do I use? How do I get a lead magnet out to people? How do I make sure somebody can sign up to my offer and actually pay and then get the thing? How do I do my discovery course and things like that? Everything has had to be learned. Everything is kind of like I've learned. I've found different ways around it, and I kind of use that knowledge and apply it to everything that I do now. And I use everything that I've been doing for the past 7 or 8 years in helping my clients and watching and being involved in their kind of launches, pulling together their offers and not fitting together, but pulling that information that I've gained and that I can see together so that I can help others. So yeah, that's kind of me. In a nutshell, that's all enough nutshell.
That's in a nutshell, big nutshell. No, but it's, you know, when you're talking about what it is that you do, right? There's this real passion that comes in it. You know, so you obviously get a huge amount of enjoyment out of it, right? You know, but it's like, let's be real here, right? Yes, there is 90% enjoyment. There's still 10% of the time, right? man, it doesn't feel like that at all, right? And that's just the reality of it, right? But it's that kind of, how do you overcome, like just had a little bit earlier, when you do have a setback and loses some amount in terms of, you helping a client, trying to help a client out, deliver a service or a product, and it doesn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, right? As the business owner, and like I say, I love puzzles, basically, right? How do I make this fit? It still hits you, right? And that kind of, so how does it feel for you? So for obviously as a client, I'm like, oh, you're my tech VA. Here you go. Here, this is my suite of tech that I think, I've got, right? Off you go, Becky. Go and do your magic, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't work out. How does it feel for you, right? And also, aside from that, I guess it's also, are there some typical, typical issues that come up?
Yeah. So obviously we discussed this prior to pressing record. How it makes me feel. So it is always difficult because when somebody hands me over a project, it is always, we've talked about what it is they want to do. We've talked about how it is they want to deliver it. We've talked about what systems they've already got in place and what kind of process they might want to follow if it's brand new. And so I think the thing is, for me, is that when I'm working with someone, I am invested in them. It's not just hand me this project and I'll do it and then off you go. It's I'm invested in that kind of success for them. So when something kind of doesn't go the way I planned, as with tech, because tech there will always be their issues with tech, especially when you're putting something complex together. And it for me, it's always about kind of, well, okay, this isn't working. Let's talk about it. Let's see where we can go with this instead, because you don't know what you don't know, and we might need to pivot somewhere. And it's just I'm so invested in that problem solving and making sure it is right. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am human, and you've seen I when something doesn't quite go how I expect it to go, it can hit me. It can still hit me hard, and I know tech. I know how to fit things together. So when people come to me, that whole kind of, they might not know tech, right? And they might have tried, and it's so frustrating for them that either they can't get it to work, or they're spending hours and hours trying to trying to learn how to just do this one thing, right? When actually it might take me a couple of hours, because I've learned the behind the scenes. I've learned kind of that different systems, yes, you might be using MailerLite, you might be using MailChimp, but actually at the core of it, they all kind of do the same thing at the core. So for me, it's really easy to context switch between those things. But for those who aren't kind of not tech savvy, because I am a massive believer that everybody has a degree of tech savvy to them, and everybody will have a go. But the amount of time that you put into trying to learn a new system, for me, it's like, well, actually, isn't that time better spent in front of your clients or marketing? So I was at a conference earlier on late last year. Oh, nice hair dinner. Late last year, and was talking to a friend, and over the summer she'd put out an offer. She'd put together an offer to go across the summer weeks, the 6 weeks holidays, and she said to me, I spent a hell of amount of time putting this together. I spent a hell of amount of time putting it together, and I only got, I can't remember the exact number, so I'm plucking this out of the air. I think it was about 10 people, which was brilliant. It's brilliant that she got 10 people, and that is amazing. And I asked her this question. I said, okay, so if you'd have asked somebody else to do it for you, so knowing that I'm a tech VA, you can always ask me. If somebody like me had set that up for you, do you think you would have had more time to market and talk to your clients and onboard them, and therefore have got more people signed up than what it was for you, because you spent that amount of time putting that together? And I think that's the thing. There's not just the whole, oh, I don't know what system to use. There's that whole, how much time are you kind of wasting? And that sounds awful, because it's not wasted time, because you're putting your offer together, you're putting it out there to the world, and it is needed. But how much time are you wasting trying to figure these things out and trying to do the nitty-gritty, instead of kind of speaking to somebody else? And yeah, I always get that whole kind of, it's an investment. It's an investment. Yes, my services cost to kind of help somebody put these offers together, but there's always this kind of thing of like launching is like this all hands on deck, this once in a lifetime thing, once every, you know what I mean, that kind of, it's happened once. And actually, if you get it right and you set it up right, it's repeatable. So that one investment, that first investment in getting it set up and right in the first place, is kind of the only investment for when you go forward to do it again, or it's an evergreen thing. It's, you do it next year, or you do it again this year. It's already there. It's ready for you to use again. You don't have to make another investment to redo it. But yeah, it's there's always kind of those commonalities between the people that come to me, in the fact that, yes, I work with a lot of coaches. I do work with a lot of coaches, and it's they've tried it and it's not quite fitting together the way that they want it to, but they kind of know that there's a better way to do this. Or there's this whole thing of, I have absolutely no idea how I get this out into the world. I've got a vague idea, and in terms of certain systems that I could use, but I don't know whether they're the right ones, or I don't know kind of what I need to do. Because obviously it's the whole, I need somebody to sign up, I need to have them sign up, and then I need to deliver it. But there's so many little things in the background. There's so many moving parts to these kind of system setups. It's never quite so simple.
No.
As much as you need, you can kind of make it simple. There's still always something. There's still always something. So it's kind of the ones that have already tried it, the ones that kind of have no idea where to go, and the ones that they've possibly done this before, but they know that there's a better way to do it now. They've tested it out. They know that the offer is good for their clients. Now they need a better way to kind of deliver it, or a more seamless way to set something up. So there's some kind of commonalities between people, and of course there are those who they do repeat launches, and maybe they've not got kind of a repeatable launch plan in place.
Mm.
Because obviously I work with lots of clients, like I said, and have pulled a lot of knowledge from how they kind of do things and what's needed, and I distilled that into kind of a little launch hub, which is like a roadmap, a customizable roadmap for people to utilize to plan their launches. And it's that kind of those people who are just bored and frazzled, just kind of repeatedly doing these things now, and they just need somebody just to come in and just help.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, that's there's the commonality of people.
Do you know what? It's really interesting, you know, because there's always a trade-off, right? In most things, but it's kind of like, yes, you know, and in most places, you know, most services, kind of like, yes, but it's an investment. Yeah, it's an investment, not a cost. And also the thing is that, and it's for me, it's that kind of like, being, you know, having done it all myself, it's kind of like the amount of time, the investment of time that I spend on doing something that I am not a master at. And to be honest, I don't really want to master it either.
That's it.
I don't, right? I don't need, nor require, or want to be a master at all the aspects of my business, right?
Yeah.
I just want to be like a pig in shit in the stuff that I really enjoy, and then the rest of it. But there is this, what I do find is that it's always helpful to understand the process.
Yeah.
To, you know, just in case something happens, right, you know, to the tech backup or whatever, at least you can help, and you can do something yourself, right? You know, having some working knowledge is probably useful. I don't need to be an expert at it, but to become an expert, which is what you've done, right? You spent, you know, last 7-8 years with the business, and, you know, and then more lastly with the systems. But you're minimum kind of 3 to 4 years ahead of anyone who's just starting out, right? So for me, that kind of investment is kind of like, oh, well, you can help me all this. And actually, from the first get-go, it's set up properly, rather than me clobbering it together and then next time I've got to do this. How do I unpick this? It's kind of like this ball of wool that's just done, and now you've got to unpick it all, right? That's what's coming. And while I was doing, you know, my own my first event, which I did myself, very simple landing.
You did amazing at it.
Well, thank you. But the hours I spent on getting that one landing page on MailChimp and the welcome, you know, here's the link type kind of, it took forever. I mean, literally took me a whole week just to get one landing page. You would have done it in a couple hours, right? And the email, you know what? Here's the template. Just use this. Copy, paste, change your name, change your date, change whatever. Make sure you've got your link in it, and it'll be done, right? Yep. But I was sitting there like, no, you know, and there's this little bit of, for me, it was kind of like, this can't be too difficult, you know? I'm an intelligent human being, you know, I've got that system, I'm paying £10 a month for it, right? I should be able to make it work myself. Yes. There is this stubborn pride in me, right? That instead of, you know, I knew you by then, I was like, hey, come on, you know, I could have asked you, but I'm like, no, I've got to do it myself, you know? And, you know, and this is my learning process through, I mean, okay, you know, once you've done it, then it's much easier for the second time.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know, it's not a flashy thing or whatever else just now, right? But it's kind of like, for me, you know, the learning from my side is kind of like, you know, if even for something simple like that, if I'd just gone to someone and said, hey, what is the best thing that I could have done, right? Even if at that point, you know, any coach can't really afford, you know, to give someone some money yet, right? And but so someone to speak to someone like, look, can you just point me in the right direction? What are the, you know, this is what I want to do. I just want to start my own workshop, right? It's going to be live. How do I do it?
Yeah.
Right. You know, I asked 10 different people who weren't experts in it, who've done it all 10 different ways. And I'm sitting there like, well, what helps for me? I don't know. I've got 10 different options. And I'm like, and people are saying, no, use MailerLite. But I've got MailChimp. But no one I was talking to, and they were using Kit and whatever, all the other programs. And I'm like, but I've got MailChimp. And no one I was speaking to was going to, and I'm like, but I'm sure I can do it, you know, using this, and, you know, and explored on other platforms. Like, oh yeah, this is all fine. Yeah, you can do all of this. This will help you set it up, but you still need your own Zoom account. And I'm like, okay, so, you know, that's another cost. And then all of that comes in, and I go into overwhelm in terms of the cost, and I'm like, by that point, a week is gone. I'm getting really frustrated every time I'm starting thinking about that frigging landing page. I'm like, oh, that's already right. That's a lot of stuff for me, right? I and so for me, it's that kind of how much time and energy did I waste? A lot, right? It's that kind of thing, right? It's that kind of, for what I say, for people, who's starting to do, and even doing something that's it's a bit more sleek and a bit more, I would say, kind of more professional or whatever else. I'm like, how much time and energy do you actually have? Because like you said, if I did not had that, I would have been in a much better state to be able to go and be more positive and excited about talking to people. Whereas actually in that state, I was like, do you know what? I'd rather no one actually turned up. I spent all this effort on it, right? And you know what? I'd rather no one turned up, because during that hour when I'm on there, I'd have an hour for free, doing nothing. I've got 3 hour. That was the energy answering. And then, okay, I got people to sign up. But like you said, how many more people, if I had been my best self, could I have been able to attract, right, to come and say, oh my God, this is going really exciting, right? It's really exciting having that energy come out. People like, we just rock up just for 10 minutes just to see how it was, rather than, I don't even know her, because, so that's what's coming to me.
Yeah.
Right. So, so if a coach is listening, and I know, they will be, right? And they have a program ready, but this tech, I call it dance, break dance, because I can never break dance, right? I'll do the shuffle, shuffle left and shuffle right? And it's literally making the head spin, and kind of like where I was last year. It's like sitting there, oh my God, where do you even start with them?
Yeah, it's a whole tech dance, and everything you just said is like everything that I see. It's a whole bundle of kind of mess. And I just want to pick up on the fact that when you're saying, like, you spoke to other people and they're using kit and they're using MailerLite, and they're saying use this and that, the FOMO that creates as well. And I think it's really important to say is that the FOMO that creates, and the fact that it makes you kind of doubt how you're doing things, that it's just not a good place to be. And actually it's about how you utilize what you have and how you work and the systems that you enjoy using and can use. And as long as it is delivered in the way that you want it to be delivered, it doesn't matter what you're using. Okay. It does not matter what you're using. And it's never about overcomplicating things in me as well. When you start with, when I kind of start talking to people about what they need, it will always start with a kind of, okay, what are you already using? Are you using Google Workspace? Because actually Google Workspace, depending on your subscription level, you don't have to use Calendly. You could use their Google Scheduler, because you can do exactly the same thing. Plus, you can actually take payments through there. So, do you need Calendly, or if you've got Google Workspace, do you want to use that? Are you using MailChimp? Are you using MailerLite? Because actually, they do have the capacity to have landing pages which all work through. It is, for me, one of the starting points is always looking at what do you already have in place that we can use, and we do not need to add something else to your bucket of things.
Right.
That is always one of the places that I start with people, and then it's a case of getting to know, right, okay, what does your offer actually look like? How is it set out? Is it a program or a course? If it's a course or a program, are you delivering parts of it live? Do people come back for the replays? Is there some self-study in there as well? Do we need to drip feed it? Or is it a quiz? Is it a quiz? What needs to happen at that end of that quiz? Do they need to be directed to book a call with you, or do something next? Or at the end of that quiz, do they get a PDF report that they can refer back to? And then what's the emails after that? So it's kind of understanding, right, okay, what is it you want to do and what you want to achieve? And it's not about overcomplicating it. It's about how can we do this simply, but in a way that lends itself to growth as well, so you can develop from it. And it all boils down really into three things in my head. So in reality, there are always three things that you kind of fundamentally need. You need a landing page for somebody to sign up. You need a payment processor if this is a paid item, and then you need your workflows to deliver the actual thing. So it's all about how do you get people to sign up? Do you need to take payment? And then what happens next? What are the emails that need to come through next? How are you contacting them next? And this is also something as well that is really important, because we talk a lot about AI and implementing AI and automations and things like that. It's really important to know when you need that automation, when it's going to help, and actually when you need the human part of it, when you need you. So there are always certain things within my business where I am, no, that needs my input. I need to do this. It's not a quick fire, right? Okay, this happens, which triggers this, that sends that. I need to put myself into this space. So there will always be that kind of review of where do you fit into this as a human, and where do we need to do the automations. But yeah, that's kind of sounds really big, that does, doesn't it, in terms of where do we start with people. But it is always looking at the systems you've already got, the actual process that and the offer that you have, and then it's always the okay, well, this is my suggestion. And again, I will always say to my potential clients, these are a couple of suggestions that I am saying could work, and show them how it will work. But it will always rest with you and what you feel comfortable with, and whether that process fits into how your vision and kind of how you work as well with your clients. Because there might be somebody who just is fully automated. They want to be fully automated. But then there's somebody who doesn't want that. They need that level of face-to-face. They need that to put the human into it. And everybody is different. Everybody uses different systems. But like I say, it all comes down to those kind of fundamentals of where are you sending people to sign up? Do you need a payment processor on there? And then what happens next? What's the workflow that happens next? But it's fundamentally it's all about keeping it simple and not overcomplicated, and not going with that FOMO that I see a lot of people do. And I'll always be honest with people. I will always say, right, hang on, wait a second, because yes, you're seeing other people doing that, but you have this, you have these systems that will do exactly the same thing. Do you want to spend money going there, or do you want to try doing this first? And working with what you already know. So yeah, that's kind of the baseline.
But actually, what comes, through as you were speaking there, Becky, is it's that comfort you give. It's a kind of, you know, the analogy that came in my head is that, you know, you there are certain things that you have, right? So equivalent to, oh, I think there's something wrong with me, so I can put all my symptoms into NHS Direct, for instance, right? And I'll come up with this whole plethora of things that could be wrong, right? Or I could go, you know, and I could self-diagnose and try and fix it, or I could go and see a specialist.
Yeah.
What would be the most efficient way of doing it? And obviously going to a specialist where they can talk to me about my body, my symptoms, and all this kind of stuff would be much more efficient than, you know, me going out, oh, well, okay, I'll start at the top. Potentially 10 things that could be wrong. I'll start at the top and I'll try it out. It'll be 10 weeks before you get to the end of it. And actually nothing's changed, right? Because that actually wasn't you, right? It's, you can get quite generic advice out in there, but even out on the internet, you know, you search anything and thousands of things come up, and it's just that kind of overwhelm. Whereas, like I said, you know, if you speak to, you know, an expert master, right? A master in what it is that you do, right? They can just say, actually, yes, because, you know, I'm always comparing myself. Who do I compare myself to? People who are like light years away from me. Oh, but Tony Robbins does this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Robbins is a gazillionaire, right? He's got teams of hundreds of people helping him with this. But he started out small at some point too, right? It's that kind of like, yeah, but I see all these people doing all these fancy, dancy, you know, glitzy, you know, and you're like, oh my God, you're sitting there and all right. But it's kind of break down to what is it that you really want, right? Instead of, oh, I want to be singing or dancing, because you might not need it.
Do your clients actually need all the singing or dancing thing, or do they just need you and your offer and the way that you uniquely work?
Yeah, and that's it, right? And, you know, and it's that kind of, you know, I guess from the client side of saying, like, I've got to be clear about what it is that I want, but also not be so stuck in a way, oh, this is how I think it wants to work, right? You know, because, you know, you were telling me, I was like, oh, I hadn't even considered that. No idea.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that. Or, you know, and it's that kind of having that kind of openness to have that discussion, right? And not, you know, because if it's, that's the thing, right? Because you don't deliver just a cookie cutter approach, right? Yeah, everyone just have these 5 systems and then I'll make it work for you. Yeah. No, because by a point, typically people come to you, they'll have some sort of systems already in place, right? Whether that's email or a calendar, or, you know, some way to do calls, right? You know, they'll have at least that, right? And then it's kind of like, yeah, well, you know, you don't need to go high level or whatever it is that costs $100 a month or whatever, right? To do what it is that you want to do right now. It doesn't mean that as you work through, you might want to go up there, right? But it's what is required for you in this moment, but that allows for some growth, right? And then we can always move, right, to something else. Yeah, that's what's coming to me.
Yeah, you just don't know what's round the corner. In reality, you don't know what you might want to move on to. You don't know how you're going to develop, or actually, are you going to end up pivoting? And actually, we need something completely different. But I think with systems as well, as long as you go into it and looking at the systems where that it does allow for growth as well, that is the main thing. It doesn't have to be all singing or dancing, as long as you can grow from it.
So what would you say is the biggest myth that people believe about launching something online?
Oh, this will always be the fact that it's a kind of, it's the launch, the massive launch thing, like it's got to be done once. This is the one thing that we're doing. It's never that way. You're always launching something. There's always something that's either you've either got an evergreen product that's available all the time, or there's kind of you're running something 3 or 4 times a year, and actually, yes, you might have that one big launch where it's the first time, but for me, that's okay. That's okay, as long as you are setting yourself up for the future. So having the system set up so that you can repeatedly use it. Obviously you need to there's always certain things you need to kind of tweak, like whether it's a date in an email or something like that. But it's that having something that is there and that is set up for future use as well, and it is repeatable. It's not just about that one launch. It's never about that one launch. It's about what are you going to do with it next, and are you going to use it again? Because actually, if you set yourself up right from the get-go, like we said, with the best possible in the best possible way, it makes it easier to do it again. You've got the system set up, but then it's also really important, and this is why I have it and why I kind of distilled it, my knowledge kind of down into the launch hub. It's that you need a plan. You need a plan. You need one source of truth kind of thing, where it's what was the content that I'm using for this launch, and how did that content do? Do I need to tweak it another way because actually I want to use it again for the next launch? What was in the emails that I'm sending? What is the purpose for this program? What do I need to do pre-launch? Having the checklist. What do I need to do pre-launch? What do I need to do for launch? What do I need to do for post-launch as well? Because there's always that kind of that follow-up. Well, what do you need to do next with your clients or potential clients? Actually, was this offer an incentive to join another offer and is part of the wider funnel? So it's kind of, don't just go into it with the right, this is it, like this one launch, yes, one launch. Go into it with, if I get this right and if I do this properly, then everything will flow after that.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from you then is that it's not putting all your eggs in one basket right here, right? It's not like a movie premiere, you know what I mean? It's that big and whatever. It's building something that has life, that has longevity, and that will grow with you, right? So and it's that kind of moving away from that mindset, oh my God, if this fails, that's it, I'm done, right? It is what's come to me is like, this is, you know, what we've set up to do, and this is what this will do, but the main aim of it is what's after it, right? Enjoy this moment, but then what's the next step after that? And then it's the next step, and then it's the next step, and then it's the next step. So this isn't the end all and be all. This is actually just the first door, right? It's just the first door. Step through it, then we'll figure out what the next door is going to be like, right? Yeah. So it's not like this is the door and you open it, and if it doesn't go well, it's, you know, a cliff edge, right? It is to whatever it is that you want to go to. So it's not putting that kind of pressure, you know, that massive pressure that this has got to be a massive leap, you know, because to be honest with you, that's kind of what I felt like when I first did my first workshop. I felt so insurmountable. It felt so uncomfortable. And, you know, it's kind of like got to a point, I was like, oh, can I just please not do it, right? You know, because it was so heavy, because it wasn't in my wheelhouse, right? I was doing something that was totally out, you know, and instead of going asking for help, I was like, no, I'll fix it. I can do this, you know, because there is, like I said, there's this internal pride and thinking, well, I've got all the systems. So, you know, and according to everything that I've researched, it should be easy, right? You know, and, you know, my computer doesn't work, you know, and I don't have IT help desk anymore, right? You know,
we don't have a help desk outside.
I don't have a help desk. I call my husband. I call him the IT help desk. He's really not happy with that, right? But I'm like, you know, yesterday my vertical mouse didn't work.
Oh no! I
was like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Well, why is it not? So I then had to stick in a normal mouse with a lead in it. And I was like, you know, gone back 20 years, right? But then it wouldn't do what I wanted, and I'm like, you know, and it's just even those little things sets me in a tailspin, right? Never mind having to create a friggin' landing page. You know what I mean? You know, back in the days, I could say, oh, the computer said no. I unplugged my computer, go down to the basement, right, where IT used to sit, and I said, nice, Mr. IT man, can you please fix it? Said no, right?
Always that question of, have you turned it off and switched it back on again?
Yes, I have 3 times, and then they do it, and it works for them, right? So, you know, and I've always known I've got this kind of slightly negative energy about tech, right? You know, and I have a relationship barely.
Love-hate relationships.
Yeah, it's barely a relationship, right? You know, I try to stay open to it, right? But it's that kind of, I just don't feel comfortable with it, right? It's not my jam, right? But it's not your jam. So it's kind of like, look, it's okay to ask for help. And even if it isn't just, the thing is that just talking to someone isn't going to cost you money, right? But just by talking to someone who can lay out a path, right? And whether then they choose that, do you know what? Becky, can you just do it for me? Yes, I can then see whether I've got time and space. And yes, it's going to, you know, have a cost. But the initial conversation is never going to cost. You know, it's just that because you might not actually even want to work, or it's going to be, oh, yeah, okay, you know, you're beyond what I like to do, right? So I'm not interested or whatever else. Right? But I, as the person, already put, well, yeah, but I don't want to take up their time because I'm just asking them for some information, you know, and it's that little barrier, right? It's kind of like, well, how about I open myself up to that? I'm not, because I always have agency. I always can say no.
Yes.
All I can do is ask for some help, right? And some guidance. And if that person is willing to give me some help and some guidance, gratefully accept it. But if they say no, I'm actually no worse off than where I am right now. I've got to figure it all out. But by speaking to someone, maybe I didn't have to spend a week doing this, and I could have saved myself 3 days. Oh my God, you know, my life would have changed at that point. But I would learn.
Thing as well, because I mean, if you look at us, there's not only we're trying to run a business, we're juggling about another 3 or 4 roles within that, and another 50 odd tabs going off in our brain of the things that we need to do. It's mentally draining to try and put your energy into something that you don't enjoy doing, that's not your wheelhouse, that's not kind of your zone. And it's just that headspace that is, it's just, you need it. You still need you need that headspace.
Yes, you do. And it's actually that little bit of space that you can give yourself, right? It's that being, like we said earlier, it's just being kind to yourself. We don't always have to fix everything by ourselves, right? We have got networks, and it's that kind of us taking that next step to say, hey, can you just help me?
Yeah.
You know, with something. And you did that exactly with me. It's like, hey, I'm doing this quiz, and no idea, right? And then I'm like, but it's not working, right? You know, yes. And if we were struggling, so like, why does this not work? And he's like, well, Doris, what have you done? Right? You know what I mean? If you had come to me last week, right, and I'd given you a template to fix, this is how you've done it, instead of now doing it 12 times ago, you've got 12 questions, right? If you set it up properly in the first place, you're very kind about it. Thank you very much, right? But it's like,
you did a brilliant job.
You know, we got there. If you got there eventually, I would have never gotten there by myself, right? Yeah. You know, that's a given, right? It's kind of like, but I learned through that process to say, oh, okay, you know, this is what I can do, right? And whatever else. But, you know, and it's that kind of, it's the allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to ask for help, right? We always tell our kids, right? Come on, if you don't know anything, try figure it out a little bit, right? But if you're stuck, put your hand up and ask.
Ask us.
We don't do it to ourselves. Well, I don't do it to myself. I'm like, no, I'm big ass grown woman. Yeah, I can figure it out. You know, I've given birth to 2 children. You know, what else could be more difficult than that, right? It's, you know, it's kind of ingrained a bit, and, you know, and it's kind of, I've held jobs, I'm capable, you know, and we make it in our head to say, look, if I put my hands, I'm a failure because I'm asking for help, because I'm fixing. It's like, no. I'm just not a master in this part of life or my work or my business, right? Neither do I want to be. So, and actually, how about you know, and this is also, I think we've had conversations about this. We are so happy when people ask us for help. Yes, of course I give you some time and I can help you, right? And it makes me feel so good when I can offer some help to someone, right? And it's not because of money, right? I want to help you because I want to, and it's not for anything to get back, right? But I don't ask for help. And I think that, you know, as talked about, this is really selfish, me not giving others the opportunity to have that wonderful feeling that they have been able to help someone else, right? You know, so I'm happy to help others, but I don't ask for help. But that's a bit selfish.
I think we're all so guilty of it. And do you know what? When you talk about the, like, it from that perspective as well. It's that whole thing of, in my head, it's that how many coaches or business owners are out there, solo business owners, who have had these brilliant ideas and know that this is exactly what their client needs, but then they've got stuck because they do not know how to get it to their client. How many ideas are still stuck in limbo because they're just the whole background of it is too much and it's too difficult to set up. And
Yes.
it, I mean, I completely sympathize. There are so many kind of like, it is frustrating. Even for me, it's so frustrating when you see something that does not work, and you know it should work, and it's like, how the heck do I do it? And you just want to just go, no,
yeah,
I'm just gonna walk away from it.
Yeah, and you know, it's that kind of saying, you know, that I got taught when I was in coaching school. It's kind of like, you know, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, right? And how many of us, you know, business owners, even career people, you know, who are in corporate, are actually suffering because they either feel as if they can't give up, or they can't ask for help, or whatever reason, right? They're really suffering. Where just by raising a hand up and speaking to someone or asking for help, it would alleviate all of that suffering, right? Yep. Pain is inevitable. We all grow, right? We'll stub our toes, whether that's emotional pain, physical pain, whatever, right? It's going to happen. But the suffering is optional, right? And when we suffer, I'm the one who's actually poisoning my own body, right? By a whole week, I sat there being in a bad mood because this fucking thing didn't work. You know, I was causing that suffering on myself, right? Yeah. You know, and you sit there like, you know, and you have all these reasons in your head, right, about, you know, why this is the way that it is, and how you're not so good, and you're actually not clever enough, and, you know, why would anyone want to help you anyway? You know, this is so easy, you know, should have been so easy, you know, and you've got all this, and you keep staying in it, right, until you just through sheer just gritting your teeth and getting through it, you get through it, right? And then it's just that, and it's not the, oh my God, I got there because I fixed the problem that I really want to solve. Is
you're completely detached from it then, aren't you? You're like, oh, that was so much effort. I've lost the joy in kind of what this is going to bring.
Yes.
And the fact that this is brilliant. This is going to be what my clients need. This is absolutely what I need to do.
Exactly.
It's that whole, that was so much effort.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And this is, you know, this reminds me of a conversation I had once with my husband about, you know, I really want to get to my retirement, if there's such a thing, right? Retirement age, right? Really kind of literally skipping and thinking, oh my God, this is the best time of my life, right? And I was at a time in my corporate before I left was like, do you know what? At this rate, I literally have to drag myself over the line to retirement. And when I get there, I'm just literally flop, right? You know, and I'll be absolutely friggin' exhausted. And I was like, and I knew then, I was like, I don't want to be that number two option. I want to get all the way through up until retirement. And I'm like, it's as if it's no different, but I am so enthused rather than freaking exhausted. Right? Yes. You know, because I want to head into retirement. You know, I don't ever need to retire now, right? But it's that kind of like, what else is possible now? Instead of, thank fuck I got here, right? Because that is no way to live. I didn't know it up until that point, right? Now that I've moved out of it. But it's that kind of feeling. It's like, look, how we don't have to make things awkward or hard, right? That's not to say you shouldn't put any effort in, right? And I think it's always good, right, to learn, you know, and do stuff yourself just in case, right? But you don't need to know it to expert level, right? There are other experts out there that we can help and tap into to say, hey, and sometimes it's just a conversation that might unlock something, right? That says that will save you 50% of the time, right? And that's what we're here. So, you know, for those busy coaches out there, right, who kind of have an offer and they want to launch, say, next week.
Yep.
What are your top 3 tips?
Okay, so the first one, and you touched on it actually when you were talking about your stuff a while ago, is that you need to understand your process. Understand the part of your process and how you want to and are going to deliver that offer. That is so important. And the next one, and I've already said this before, but assess the tools that you already have in place. Look at what you already have in place and how that fits, or how those tools could fit into that process, from getting somebody to sign up to receiving that offer. And then the third one, which I love this one, is that never underestimate your thank you page or your kind of email sequence that follows the sign up, because that thank you page can send somebody to follow you on your socials, can send them to your Facebook group, can say, well, if you don't want to wait to do this, here's what you can do next. Where's it going? It's that whole thing of what's next following this offer. Or in your email sequence, it's that whole, okay, you've got this tool. That just doesn't end with that whole, like, thanks for signing up, here's the thing. It's the, well, what's next? How have you got on with that thing that I've sent you? These are the intentions behind this, and are you seeing this? Or if you've seen this, here's what you can do next with it. Or actually, it might be that next month you're running a free event as well. So on that thank you page or on one of those emails, it's the, if you like this, I'm actually running a free event on this day, you can come to if you like. So just don't underestimate the whole kind of that power of the thank you page and your email sequence, because it's still part of your funnel in the end.
Okay. And what would you say was an ideal time limit, right, before the launch? This is where you're going to smack me in the face in a minute, I think.
No. It's when you say, when you're giving me the scenario of, oh, if they want to launch next week, I'm like, what? So, and lots of people will think differently, and there will always be different timelines. But for me, a 6-week kind of window, especially when you're setting up something new, you need that time to make sure that what you've set up works, and you also need that time to market it. Okay. And that's the biggest thing. It's not always about, right, okay, you've got to set this up, you've got to do the systems. It's not always just about that. It's about, okay, what am I doing with my marketing, and how, like, I need a good lead up time for it. And okay, when I look at my launch hub and that pre-launch checklist is sat there, it's like, okay, actually, I need to put a banner on my LinkedIn. I need to do a featured section. I need to create an event if I need to create an event, because it's an event. I need to set this up, or I need to have recorded those videos. It's making sure you give yourself enough time to maximize the kind of, not only the setup of the system, but how you put it out into the world, and the timeline that you've given yourself to do that, and to maximize the kind of visibility through going through the pre-launch checklists that you have, and the launch checklist that you have. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is where someone like me, who's kind of much more kind of just in time, doesn't quite work. That's all right. Oh, okay then. I'll try harder next time.
I don't get me wrong. There are clients that I work with who have shorter timelines, and we do work with those timelines where we can.
Love it. I can hear the subtext. The doors do better. Awesome. So is there any other golden nuggets that you would like to share, or are there any major bugbears that you have that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I don't think there's not essentially any golden nuggets or major bugbears. There's just that one thing of, if you are feeling overwhelmed with, oh my God, I have this idea and I do not know how it gets to people, always start with those three core things of, you need a landing page, and if you need to take payment, you need the payment processor, and then you need your workflow to deliver that offer, whether it's a video, whether it's a course, whether it's a lead magnet. You will always need those things. You need somewhere to sign up. You need a payment processor if this isn't a free option, and you need the workflow in terms of, right, here's your thing, here's what to do next.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really enjoyed our chat. Actually, learned a lot through this conversation, and we have regular chats as it is, right? So thank you. I enjoyed that.
Good. It was nice to get it all out. I overwhelmed people with all my information.
No, I think it's. I find it quite comforting to know that there are people like you out there who can actually help me simplify my processes, right? Because for me, systems is not something, like I said, it's not something that comes natural to me, and I can be easily overwhelmed, and I'll have the systems, and I prefer it if I just could just to kind of ignore it. Oh, do I have to use it? I'm paying for it, but I don't really want to use it. I don't really want to use it because it's not intuitive to me. And it's that kind of like, hey, actually, someone like you can actually help me understand my system a bit better and actually not make it so overwhelming, right? Yes. It's actually quite simple, right?
You want the confidence in your system. And that's always, any tech VA who's worth their salt will always, it's giving you that confidence in what you're doing. And it's the no judgment as well.
Yes.
We don't judge. Doesn't matter if you know nothing about tech. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You are good at what you do.
Yes, that's the thing, and it's the kind of like, and this is why coaching is similar, kind of similar in terms of that kind of ethos, right? We're not here to judge, right? We're just here to help you get better at what it is, or get you to where it is that you want to get to faster, right? Yes. And with our personalities, it's all about let's do it, and do it in a way that's fun. Doesn't mean that's always going to be fun, right? But let's not make it too serious, right? And there will be ways to get around it, right? If this doesn't work, we'll try something else. And if this doesn't work, we'll try something else, right? There's plenty of tools in our toolkit to help you. I don't have many tools in my toolkit with regards to tech. You've got that whole entire range in your toolkit. I've got a whole entire range in terms of my coaching, right? Skills and processes and whatever else. But it's the same, right? It's that kind of helping others become more confident in whatever it is that they do, so that they can use that confidence to amplify whatever it's to share out their messages and whatever else, right? So thank you. There's a lot of parallels there, but it's so kind of okay, I don't have to do this alone.
Yes,
right? I mean, that's the biggest thing. I don't have to do this alone, and it doesn't need to be as complicated as I've got it in my head, right? And it is okay to start where I am at. I don't need to overhaul everything. It's okay to start with what I've got, and then we'll see where it goes, right? And one step at a time, basically. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Awesome. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that was fun. That was fun.
If you enjoyed this episode, follow us for more unpacked and unfiltered Tuesday sessions. In the meantime, you can find us hanging out online over on LinkedIn, where you can find out more about what we do at Happy Bunny Coaching and Rebecca Jane Virtual Business Support. Links in the comments. See you next time.